Hi everyone, Katie here. Welcome back to another layout video. Today I have some Disney pictures to scrapbook. So I am using the Simple Stories Say Cheese 4 paper pad and that sketch that's up there in the top left corner to create my layout. Now, there are so many great papers in this paper pad. It's 48 sheets, so it's pretty big. 2 of everything, and then a lot of just really good patterns, so I had to pick out a few. I want my base to be this red and white polka dot, and then I want kind of like a bolder print, as I chose this Disney balloon paper to go there on the top. Now I chop off a 3.5-inch piece, but I also go ahead and take off a 3-inch piece of the red polka dot. I have a number of Disney things to scrap right now, so I am kind of, I don't know, I'm not overusing my supplies in that, I could have just put this balloon paper on top of the red one, but I do keep the scrap, at least for now while I'm working on my Disney things. So in order to kind of seal that edge between the two, I did put washi on the back, but I'm also going to put double-sided tape along the seam here, and then cover it up with some glitter, which I enjoy doing. It's a technique that I have used before. This not only makes it stronger, but also, just like a prettier seam. So I do put washi over the little bit of double-sided tape that's on the back side of the layout, just because I don't need my layout sticking to everything, right? And that just, covers it up. I've always have this roll of washi that is like a utility roll. So I'm not using it for decorative purposes. I'm using it, to put paper together, backside of kind of things. And I don't know about you, but I definitely have enough washi to last me a long time. So it's okay if I periodically grab a roll that, I don't use so much, or for whatever reason, would prefer to use as a utility roll. So I've got my paper then together, and I have all 3 of my photos. They are from the Living with the Land ride in Epcot, if you're familiar with it, where you get to go through the greenhouse. Now, I really, really love this ride. I just think the greenhouse is super cool. On a different trip, I've had the opportunity to do the Behind the Seeds tour and, get a more in-depth view and learn more about the greenhouse at Disney. I think it is super cool and interesting. So I definitely hyped this ride up to my husband, who had never been to Disney before. I think he thought it was cool. Maybe didn't think, didn't love it quite as much as I do, but that's okay. So I have one, sort of unimpressed picture of him, and then 2, these are both hidden Mickeys. You may be able to see the flower one, but one Mickey is carved into one of the gourds that's hanging there. So I thought that was a ton of fun and wanted to, document those things. So you can tell that in the sketch, the photos are smaller than what mine are. I just have a hard time cutting down my photos sometimes. And they're already smaller photos. They're 3x4. So I figured that was small enough, and I'm just going to make it work, even though it's not perfect with the sketch. Now I'm pulling out a few embellishments or things that I think I want to use. I have both the Simple Stories Say Cheese, and then I also have some Echo Park Magical Adventure pieces that have all mixed together in my little ephemera box. And the one thing that I don't really like, the main difference, is that Simple Stories is more of like a creamy base, whereas Echo Park is like a white base. So sometimes it's hard to mix the two, but, I make it work. Or, I just use one over the other. It's all good. So now I want to make my journaling box. So you see it's like a tag there in the sketch. So I didn't have any tags or anything that I really liked. So I grab one of my snap cards. It's one of the summer rustics. I don't know. I might have made that up. Some summer themed snap card that has just like a grid on the back, so it's a perfect journaling card. And then I take one of my 6x6 pages from my Echo Park Magical Adventure little, mini paper pad, and I'm creating my own like large tag here for it. And in order to do that, you see I cut off one side, use that piece to mirror on the other, and then trim it down where I want. And I think this ends up making a nice large tag that has a good place for me to journal. And I do punch a little hole in it. I do think like a larger hole would have looked better with my, with the tag size, but ultimately, I cover up the little tag hole, so I think it works out. Now, before I do my journaling, I want to stick everything down because I know my photos are going to overlap my tag at least a little bit. And obviously, I don't want to write anything under that when it's going to get covered up. So sticking it down, I think it works out nicely. Now I have this set of yellow, I guess you could call it fiber. It's a variety of different, ribbons, or like this is almost like a leather or twine, whatever it is. I think it was a clearance section item at Tuesday Morning, but it works out perfectly. I use a little yellow twine to create a bow, and it's just like a nice little pop of yellow over there that kind of matches, within the rest of the layout, and covers up my little tag hole. Then I start working on the journaling. I am using my Jelly Roll black pen. I really like how these write. They're just nice to write with. And just writing a little bit about how, I really love this ride. I think it's great. I love seeing the greenhouse. Maybe my husband wasn't quite as impressed with it as I was, but that's probably because he didn't get to do the behind the scenes tour. That'll have to be a next time thing. And we did, of course, get to see those cute hidden Mickeys, which is always fun. Now I have a slight bit of room left on my journal card, so I add this little like Mickey head sequin. I have a whole sequins mix. They're called Sparklets from Buttons Galore. This I got at a little local scrapbook shop when I was on vacation, I think in Las Vegas. So they've traveled a long way, but that's okay. Finally getting to use them. So now if you can tell in the sketch, just above the photos, there's like a bunch of, dots or a border or something. So in order to do that on my layout, I take some sequins. They are gold stars, and I use just a line of glue putting down my sequins to create that embellishment. Now these sequins, I want to say, came from Joann's, and they've got like those bins now. Everything's like $2.25 or whatever, and they're all, just small scrapbooky, crafty embellishments and things like that. So it is a mix of gold stars and silver moons, and I don't know that I've ever used the moons, but I use the gold stars all the time. So I stick those down above my photos. I think very Disney, a nice little pop, and an added little embellishment. So now I have my title to do, and underneath the photos there's like a line of embellishment that almost look like little tickets or tags. And I have Disney tickets, but I decided to use these little labels instead, just because I've used the tickets already on Disney layouts, and I want things to be a little different. So this is from Heidi Swap. I'm not even sure what collection it goes with, but it's a whole bunch of little tags there on the back. So I used a bunch of them to create that element. I must say I'm like, this is like okay, but I don't love it. So I was thinking about embellishing, and I have this cute little half Mickey head, 2x2 card, and I decide to use my clear pops of color from scrapbook.com to go over top of it. So this kind of creates what I believe glossy accents creates as well, just kind of a nice, shimmery dimensional element on that. So I set it aside because I'm like, I'm going to cut that out when it's dry, and I decide to do my title. So if you've been to Epcot, you know that this ride that I'm on is called Living with the Lands. Well, it's also in the pavilion called The Lands. Living with the Lands is kind of a lot, especially to put in big letters like this. So I just decided to title it The Lands, which is still appropriate because that's where it is. And I use these sparkly green alphabet chips from Me and My Big Ideas. I want to say they were a clearance find at one point. And then I write the word the using some very, very old, let's see, Provo Craft. I don't even know where or if you can get that anymore. But they look like they're made out of sticks or something, which is kind of cute, especially because I'm talking about, plants and things like that. So I've got my title down, and then I have another little 2x2 card that I picked out as well, and it says Best Ride Ever, which again, I know I'm probably one of the few that really love this ride. It's not thrilling at all, but I think it's fantastic. And I decided to die cut that out in a circle, and my circle die has a nice little border around it. I think it just makes it a little more interesting. So once I get that out, get that off, I'm going to pop it up on some foam. I'm going to use my double-sided foam that is from the Dollar Tree. I really love this because it is, only $1 for 3 rolls, which is nice. And it's archival quality, and that's what's most important there, obviously. So I think this goes nicely right there in the corner. I add a few splatters just as the sketch indicates. And then I'm about to finish up my layout, but I decide that I need to use my date stamp, and I put it up in the top corner. And I do this not so that it'll stand out, but just so that it's something extra to find. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.